Today is another exciting day. Here, it's still here. It's mine. Hold on a sec. Okay, so today is an exciting day. Once again, we have Kṣaṇāti here with us. We're going to do the Nakshatra series number 3, and we have gone through 18 of them. Right? We've gone through 18 of them.
Yes, and we have about an hour and a half today, so I'm not sure if we are going to get through all that, and also we have to decide if we want to do 27 or 28.
Oh gosh, do you use that one other one?
Geez, I mean, a little bit here and there.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So, just if you do not know who this wonderful soul is here sitting in front of us, I can tell you that this is probably one of the best Vedic astrologers that I know. And when I saw the first video you did, and it was the Ketu, it was something with Ketu, it was Ketu through, we're having some frequency problems. It's windy here though. Let me see. So I watched a video that you did, and amazing. And then you did astrocartography. You did so many things. Your readings are immaculate. I've had people that got readings from you that have came to me and said how great your readings were. So what happened? Did we lose you?
I'm right here.
Wonder why.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Okay, it went away. So it must have been something funny, huh? Gosh.
Rahu or Ketu, we'll find out which one soon.
All right. So I will say this, he does readings. He has a channel. Make sure you check out his channel. It's in the comments. I'm going to pin it to the bottom of pin it to the comments as well. I've learned so much from you. So thanks again for coming back on. Everybody loves you. Everybody's like, where's phase 3? Where's section 3? Phase 3. You can clearly tell I'm in the home building industry. So where's part 3? Where's part 3? Everybody's so excited. I'm so excited. I love learning from you. And seriously, I recommend anybody who wants a reading, if you want a thorough, accurate reading that you're going to get down to the core. Also, not even just astrology readings, astrocartography. If you want to know, should you live in this one place? Should you live in that place? Another readings. You also do readings with gemstones. He consults with those. I mean, he's like a one-stop shop. And he's a great teacher. So I learned so much from you, and I really highly recommend you. Anybody that's looking to get a serious Vedic astrology reading, this is the man to go to. All right. That's it.
Heidi, you're so nice. I appreciate it so much. Thank you for saying that. It's such an honor here to be back on channel 27, going through these Rahu and Ketu Nakshatras. Ever since we did this, focusing on the Nakshatras through Rahu and Ketu, it really shows you an interesting way of how that nakshatra functions. In other words, unless it's a Rahu or Ketu nakshatra, when Rahu or Ketu's there, it's going to stir that nakshatra up. And that's one thing that I've seen through just our analysis and this work we've been doing together. And we were just brainstorming, we were going to do a Rahu Ketu conjunction video in the future, where we talk about Rahu with Sun, Ketu with Venus, Mars with Rahu, and all the other conjunctions with the nodes and how those would affect the chart. And that should be interesting as well.
Yes, absolutely. Since that's my favorite topic to go into. So, and it sounds like it's yours too. Go figure, it's really heavily in our charts. So we live with this on a day-to-day basis. It's true. Right? I'm the K2 queen and you're the Rahu. I don't even know what to call him. Chemist. I don't know. This is going to be another exciting show. So why don't we get started with one of my favorite nakshatras, 19, Mula.
Mula Nakshatra. Excellent. So the first thing that I think is interesting is to bring Ketu out when we discuss not just Mula Nakshatra, but Purva Ashadha and Uttara Ashadha, because Ketu, the ancient rishis believe this is some of the best positions for Ketu possible within the chart. There are some rishis that say Ketu is exalted in these nakshatras. That doesn't mean that Rahu does horrible in this nakshatras, but some Jyotish believe that Rahu is debilitated in some of these nakshatras. So these three nakshatras that are in Sagittarius are really interesting for how the nodes act. So with Mula nakshatra, it's ruled by Ketu. And it's interesting with Mula nakshatra because its goal isn't spiritual liberation. When you moksha, when you get into Purva Ashadha and Uttara Ashadha, there's much more liberation, moksha energy. But with Mula nakshatra, it's still kama, it's still desire, it's still the fulfillment. Now, Mula in Sanskrit means root. So there is this energy of it being the root of the universe or the center of the galaxy or the place where Kundalini energy sits, a strong vector of universal energy. Also, Mula could mean first. So some believe this is the first star that ever existed.
Yeah.
So that's interesting to think about philosophically. Now, when you have Ketu in this position, you have Ketu in its own nakshatra. So that's going to be extremely powerful and considered to have very high dignity. So it's going to be acting very powerfully. Now, that doesn't mean that the life for that individual is grounded, because when Ketu is in Mula nakshatra, it's very, very strong. And these people are deep investigators. They're deeply looking into the workings of the universe. And one of the things that they're most fascinated about is death. And that's why Ketu is associated with Mula nakshatra. The goddess of Mula nakshatra is Nariti, the divine mother of death, which can also be related to Kali Mata, or the divine manifestation of Kali. And so this has to do with working with death, understanding reincarnation, understanding karma. And so the Ketu energy goes very well into that. And so there's this high potential to really kind of have a deep understanding of the way that the universe works, especially when Ketu is in Mula nakshatra. And kind of anyone who has strong position in Mula nakshatra, they understand karmic law. They understand the universal code, the universal law. So Ketu has very high dignity in this position. And that doesn't mean that it's good for the physical body of the person. Depending on the house the Ketu and Mula is in, if it's in the 8th house, that's probably not beneficial for the physical body. But it could still be very beneficial in terms of the spiritual liberation and the fulfillment of desires through Mula. Mula gets to the bottom of things. So Ketu is very strong to put all of its energy to getting to the bottom of things when it's in Mula nakshatra. So I think it's a pretty favorable conjunction. That doesn't mean there's not challenges, but I like that position. Now Rahu in Mula nakshatra. Rahu and Mula nakshatra can be considered a debilitation position. Now, I don't like using the word debilitation. I was just talking about with Heidi about these planetary dignity terms are totally lost in translation, and debility and exaltation, those words are irrelevant. But, you know, we have to try to translate these things. And this vibration of difficulty, because Rahu can be deception or confusion. And Mula is getting to the root of things. So a lot of times the difficulty that people have with Rahu and Mula nakshatra, and we'll talk about benefits too. I'm not going to beat up on Rahu and Mula nakshatra.
Right.
But I'm just saying there can be some confusion as to, I think I know what is right. I think I know what's going on in the world. I know what I believe, and they could be a stubbornness. In general, with Mula nakshatra, there can be a stubbornness, but it kind of supersedes the ego with Ketu. In other words, it's beyond it. But with Rahu, the person can be easily offended. They can be very strongly opinionated. Even with Ketu in this position, they can have strong opinions.
Yes.
Be very strongly opinionated. But you'd probably be more the Rahu with Mula person might be more likely to push the opinion onto you. The
Yeah.
person with Ketu and Mula, they're just kind of incorporating their beliefs into their lifestyle, and hopefully it's in a good position in the chart that helps them, that isn't contributing to their health in a negative way.
Right.
But yeah, I think just as we move through these nakshatras, I like Ketu and Mula in its own nakshatra. But a lot of times, both planets in this nakshatra, these people have to deal with lots of death in their life because of the goddess Nariti. So with Ketu in this nakshatra, they can use that death for something positive. And with Rahu, hopefully in this nakshatra, the person can use death as something positive. But also with Rahu in this nakshatra, the person could be traumatized from certain events, certain things that happened in their life. They can be traumatized, like Mula, which means root. So some of the things in the early childhood, maybe some traumatic events happened to the individual in the early childhood, and then they have to heal through those events. Getting to the root problem of what their suffering is. Yeah. Like, for example, like if they're an older person, like a grown person, and they have certain bad attributes, it can be traced back to certain traumas that they might have had as children. Yeah. And this can happen with Rahu or Ketu in this nakshatra, but it's more challenging, I think, for Rahu in this nakshatra.
I agree. And I think that depending on, like, you know, Jupiter goes here, anything that goes here, it can be pretty arrogant. Like my Jupiter's in it, and I can, you know, it can be sometimes intense, and where I say things I know that scare people, or I say things that people are like, really? Did she just say that? I mean, is she really going to talk about that? You know, and I just don't care. So I know what Rahu and Ketu really can do. I think that Ketu, I've noticed that there's so much about the past. It could be past lives too, I think. I mean, that's personally, I think, you know, you really get into the past lives. People are like spiritual detectives. And then I've also seen it go a little health way too. So sometimes like the Rahu good side can make some like extremely like into the health stuff or things underground. But I will say what you said about Rahu and Ketu, like Ketu's going to do it in a more subliminal way, when Rahu's going to be like the annoying politician that thinks they know everything, and the investigator, and it's like blah, 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 and everybody needs to go on board. Rahu's like that extreme. So, or I think it could go material, where it brings out surgeons and brings out, you know, detectives that way, or brings out somebody that can dig into things. So material, loans, mortgages too. I've seen that.
Exactly. Digging into things is a perfect way of putting it. And all three nakshatras in Sagittarius, and Sagittarius is representative of the legal system. But before we can make any laws or anything like that, we have to investigate why we have laws, the reason behind things. All of that comes from Mula Nakshatra. It's right. like the research material, because right. we just came from Scorpio. So it's like the finishing of the research, the culminating effort of all of the research leads to this final truth, leads to this root answer, leads to this root cause. And with Ketu in this nakshatra, there can be some disassociation from the material world. So there is a challenge with Ketu in Mula nakshatra of being like, okay, I have these responsibilities, but I'm living in this other place. Especially if you have Ketu in a moksha house, 4th house, 8th house, 12th house, it could really be acting in this position of escapism tendency. Now, with Rahu in this nakshatra, sometimes when we're getting to the answer, getting the research, or putting together our final answer, we have to go through some rough patches in order to get there. So that means the answer that we currently have might not be our final answer, which means with Rahu in this nakshatra, what I think is the truth, what I think is the final answer, there might even be something a little bit deeper that we're not seeing, because Ketu is the ruler of this nakshatra. Ketu is no eyes. It sees without its eyes. So maybe there's something that we're not seeing with Rahu in this nakshatra that's actually deeper than what we think this thing is about.
Yeah, good. That makes a lot of sense, for sure. Now, we're not going to get into conjunctions. That's where it gets fun, because you throw a Ketu Jupiter conjunction or a Rahu Jupiter conjunction in Mula, and it takes it for a nice wild turn. You know,
Exactly, because
that'll be next.
yeah, because it impact, then Rahu would like to, I mean, Jupiter would like to have high dignity because of its position in its natural sign. But Rahu's saying, okay, there's still a lot of lessons to learn around Jupiter type significations where Sagittarius is, where Pisces is, will be affected too.
Right. It's always fun. Like that's the best. I think that's the most fun part about astrology is, it's a puzzle and you're putting it together and, just learning. And that's how I learned was from doing all the readings mainly and noticing the patterns. So I'll say though, one thing I got to say about Ketu I get a lot of Ketu in Mula, and I'll say that it's a lot of the people that are into the truth seekers. And I call it truth seeking. Some other folks might call it conspiracy theories. I call that, there's some logic and facts to it, I'm sure. So those are the people that are interested in the facts. They want to know the truth. They want to get down dirty to the details. I mean, they don't care. They will dig down to the root where they can't dig anymore. And a lot of those people are on this channel. So I think that that's the theme I see out of my readings the most. And maybe it's also because my Jupiter's in it,
100%. With Mula, they will only accept Sat, which is ultimate truth, which is the divine reality, which is ruled by Ketu, which is that which we cannot see, which is also that which we can logically or rationally understand, because we can only logically or rationally understand what we can see.
Right.
So, but yes, there's this deep digging and investigating and getting to the bottom of things and not taking anything else for an answer, which is why Rahu can act debilitated in this nakshatra. Because Ketu's like, okay, that's not the answer I wanted to hear, but I'm going to move on.
Right.
But Rahu might be like, that's not the answer I wanted to hear. And, really like just start being boisterous about the own opinion and being kind of like pushy about that. So, but Ketu could even be like that too, is there's this temptation to be self-righteous with Rahu or Ketu in this nakshatra. And that's because you know what's going on. I mean, in honesty, it's okay to be self-righteous when you know a little bit about what's going on, but still that has to do with the ego. There's a difference between having healthy amount of pride and then being infatuated with the ego as well. But you said your Jupiter is in Mula?
In the second house. Second.
Okay, my Saturn's in Mula in the 11th.
It's funny that our connections, though, that's why we get along. Like, that's why we could sit here and chit chat all day. Because of that, the Scorpio connection, like that intense that, and then, well, obviously I just think Rahu. And plus that Aquarius energy, I always like talking to an Aquarius. It's like the sign I wish I could be.
It's actually, Kumbha's considered the most cursed ascendant. I know that sounds funny, but a lot of, in an old...
We both are, aren't we? They say that Scorpio and Aquarius are the two cursed two...
Yeah. And by the way, cursed is another word we have to stop using.
Yeah, that's true. Right. Okay. So the next one.
So 20. The next nakshatra, which we're going to discuss, is Purva Ashadha, and this is a very significant nakshatra for currently the time that we're living in, because right now Ketu is actually in Uttara Ashadha. It's in the Capricorn side of it. But as Ketu is a retrograde planet, it'll move into Sagittarius, and then it'll move into Purva Ashadha. And Saturn is currently in Purva Ashadha. So Saturn is going to join Ketu in Purva Ashadha, and they're actually going to travel together conjunct for 7 months. 7 months, Saturn and Ketu. And I think they're within a degree of each other for 3 or 4 months in Purva Ashadha. So this is a very, now the Deva of Purva Ashadha is Lord Apas, Lord Varuna, the god of water. And it has this power of replenishment. So it has this very strong energy of restoration or replenishment, which is connected to Ojas. Ojas, which is connected to Shukra, and Venus is the ruler of this nakshatra. So you got Varuna and you got Venus. So from the Venus influence of this nakshatra, you come from Mula nakshatra, where you just got to the bottom of everything that you needed to get to the bottom to. And now that you have that information, what are you going to do with it? And the question is all of these things that have to do with the answers which we're looking for, what's the point of having the answers if it doesn't make us a better person? And so as you see this evolution through all of the nakshatras of Mula, Purva Ashadha, Uttara Ashadha, it's all about becoming a better person. And it rounds out this evolution. Now with Venus, it's about ridding yourselves of all of the things which no longer serve you. So when you have Saturn and Ketu coming to rid us of all of the things which no longer serve us, good luck trying to keep a secret.
Yep.
Good luck having any secretive parts of your life. And we'll see this on a political structure when the long hidden secrets of certain political leaders are going to come out, and certain, you could say, mysteries which have gone unsolved for so long will finally be solved, because all of these things which are no longer serving us are coming out.
Yep.
And this means dishonesty too.
Yep. You know, let me tell you a couple of people that are popping in my head that I know their charts. First of all, look at this one, R. Kelly, okay? So somebody said, watch this, and I watched that documentary on him. He's got his sun, moon, and I think sun, moon, and Mercury all there together. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So let me just say, and look what happened to him. He's in a Saturn dasha, I think. He's screwed. Comey, there are a ton of people in that, not even so much high up, that are in FBI, CIA, I noticed. This nakshatra is a very tricky nakshatra to understand, because yes, it has this arts and this artistic Venus and Venetian thing, but this is also can be a very corrupt nakshatra. Sex, affairs, doing things you shouldn't be doing, oversexed, control, it gets dark. This nakshatra, I noticed, gets really dark. It's the Purva Bhadrapada one.
Yeah, when it comes to the things that no longer serve us, we can either remove them from our life, which would be hopefully the best evolution, or we can just indulge in them freely. And so one of the things that you see in Purva Ashadha is that the weaknesses for the person come up. But when the weaknesses for and we'll talk about Ketu and Rahu, when the weaknesses for the person come up, then they can either give in to that demon, or they can try to purify themselves of it. So this is why Ketu is exalted in this nakshatra. This is another one of Ketu's exalted positions. And the goal of this nakshatra, as well as the next nakshatra, is moksha, or spiritual liberation. So Ketu does very well from its rulership in Mula, and then because of the moksha associations of Purva and Uttara Ashadha. So there is this vibration here of, if Ketu is in this nakshatra, when you look at the face of your demon, and we all have a demon inside of us, let's be honest, everybody. We all have our positive light side and our dark side. When you're looking in the mirror at your demon, are you going to dance with that demon, or are you going to try to purify yourself of it? And with Ketu in this nakshatra, it tries to purify themselves of it. So maybe earlier in the life, but Purva Ashadha is the earlier part of it. Uttara Ashadha is the later part of it. So with Purva Ashadha, there are usually things that happen earlier in the life, which are significant events. And with Uttara Ashadha, there can be more significant events later in the life. But this energy of Purva Ashadha with Ketu, it will rid itself of all of the things which no longer serve us. For example, earlier in the life, the Purva Ashadha with Ketu person, they love smoking cigarettes. They smoke 2 packs of Newports every day, and they just really, really enjoyed that. But eventually, the Ketu and Purva Ashadha person, they can't keep smoking cigarettes. They have to give up smoking cigarettes. Then once they give up smoking cigarettes, they'll say, I'll never smoke another cigarette again. and they go their whole other life without smoking cigarettes. So even though they might give in to their indulgences, eventually they can be purified beyond them. Rahu in this nakshatra, it's more of the things that Heidi mentioned as well. And some of the things, if Sun, Mercury, other planets, R. Kelly, he believed he can fly. He believed he could, but really he was just getting himself into some indulgent troubles. And that can happen with Purva Ashadha Nakshatra, especially earlier in the life or earlier in the career. There can be certain lessons that you have to learn in order to refine yourself, because Venus is all about this refinement. So, but Rahu in Purva Ashadha, they really can like to party. They really can like to do drug, alcohol, gamble, and
I noticed a ton of people that have planets in this and Uttara Ashadha gamblers, especially a Rahu, big time.
Definitely. Rahu is compulsive. So any kind of compulsive activity could show up here with Rahu.
Prostitutes, hookers.
Yeah. And both Rahu and Ketu are related. It's not a bad position to have Rahu in this nakshatra. It's just a little harder to stay sober.
Yeah.
So if you have Ketu in Purva Ashadha, you might have been an alcoholic when you were a teenager, then you got sober, and you're sober for the rest of your life. But if you're a Rahu in Purva Ashadha, maybe you struggle with relapsing more often. Maybe it's hard for you to put together years and years of sobriety. Maybe it's not alcohol. Maybe it's heroin that you struggle with.
Yeah.
So there are different layers of it. But either way, if you have either Rahu or Ketu in this nakshatra, whatever your weakness is, whatever your demon is, it's like the purification of that. So what will be interesting when Saturn and Ketu comes in there and takes all our secrets and weaknesses and puts them out on the table for everyone to see.
It's going to be a scary summer. I just touched a couple bullet points on my last video, but I will say I think this summer is going to be one like we haven't seen.
Yeah.
We'll have to do a video on it.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, the interesting thing about Uttara Ashadha is that it falls into Capricorn.
Yeah.
And so, you know, you're kind of like getting to the finishing of all that energy. So there's more of this vibration of associating more leading to work. Now, there's this thing that liberation is still Uttara Ashadha. So there is still this final goal of liberation, but Sun is the ruler. So while Purva Ashadha is like liberation for myself, like I have to become a better person, like I have to evolve. Uttara Ashadha is how can I take this refined version of myself, this better version of myself, and do something with it. Not just for myself, but for somebody else, or maybe for a company, or maybe for a business, especially as you get more into the Capricorn side of the Uttara Ashadha position. But Ketu in this nakshatra, it kind of is like the person has a lot of spiritual wisdom, especially if you're looking in the later padas of Ketu in this nakshatra, not in the later padas on the Capricorn side, just the end of the Sagittarius side. This is kind of a really bright, shining position for Ketu. Once you get Ketu on the Capricorn side, it loses all of this dignity. So Ketu does much better on the Sagittarius side of Uttara Ashadha. Now, it means the later conquered, or the later part of life. So this usually shows that the people have a better second half of the life.
Mm-hmm.
Purva Ashadha people have a better first half of the life.
Yes, very true.
So, and the Purva Ashadha people are partying hard. So that's, of course, they're having a good first half. They probably don't remember it.
Right. Well, and they're like, sometimes can be silver spoon people too. You know, the people that get everything handed to them. And arts, media, social media, all that stuff. No, acting, actresses, I noticed that too. Musicians.
Yeah, but there's also this strong energy of Uttara Ashadha, which is I have to conquer this thing before I can prosper.
Yes.
Especially as you get into the Capricorn side, we'll see this with some of the other Capricorn nakshatras. There's this overcoming of adversity, but it even shows itself on the Sagittarius side of Uttara Ashadha, which means because it's something that they conquered in order to be successful, the conquered foe or the conquered demon. We talked about with Purva Ashadha, the demon comes, but have you conquered that demon? And just because you conquered it, it doesn't mean that it won't tempt you again.
Right.
So, but Ketu really shines well in this position and can lead to these real kind of positive type leaders. Like you would want an Uttara Ashadha Ketu leader. Like that would be a nice leader vibration. You could really be inspired by them because they not only walk the walk, but they talk the talk.
Right. And like a CEO, I would say, because I think the politician side can get too controlling. Yeah. But definitely, I think can make a really good CEO, really good boss, something like that.
Exactly.
Because they're dedicated to it. You know?
Yeah.
I don't know. That's my opinion.
100%. And Rahu wants that, but he doesn't. It's harder to get.
Yeah.
Like, Ketu it likely is past lifetimes. It's like you came in with that credit from the past lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
With Rahu, you have to work to earn that credit, and you think you have it. Like
right. That's the worst part about. I've noticed the people that have Rahu in this nakshatra, it is tough for them. Like it's either tough where they just avoid it and just work in some menial job that they can't stand, or because I guess they're afraid, or they'll go into like a task job. But this is tough to like explore creativity when you have that. I've noticed, and they get real like because it takes that like hustler energy and throws like the strategizing guy and throws the chaos in. It just can get crazy.
Yeah.
Or arrogant or controlling or something like that.
Yeah, and Rahu, especially on the Capricorn side of Uttara Ashadha, it can be materialistic.
Yeah, definitely.
It can have and Ketu in this nakshatra is not free of materialistic tendency either. It's just like they're kind of like evolved past. Maybe they can evolve past it, but they could be very tempted with Rahu in this nakshatra for name, fame, and wanting to be well known, wanting to have clout. Like wanting to have like this presence and be remembered in all of those kind of things.
Yes, agree. Yeah. It's funny. I don't know that many. Like my head starts thinking of charts that I know. Even people I do readings for, I don't forget charts. And it's like, I know a few that I had that have that, but that's a chart I don't get often. Mm-hmm. You see that a lot?
I get a lot of Rahu in Mula, Purva Ashadha, and Uttara Ashadha.
Yeah.
And
I get K2 too. I get more K2.
That makes sense.
Right. It does. It totally does.
But when I get the Ketu in these nakshatras, it's like I can generally appreciate it, Yeah. But I can definitely work with people who have Rahu in this nakshatras to kind of. It's hard with Rahu to really look at yourself, and it's hard for us Rahu people to admit that.
Right.
But it's when you're working with Rahu in these nakshatras, it's good to have some type of advisor to actually help you work through your stuff. That's why if you have Rahu in this nakshatra, you should have a therapist. You should have someone to help you work through some of the identity things.
You should call Shravana. Because I think that's a good counselor. Okay, that's so funny. God. It is. It gets confusing. Or I think it can make somebody like just really successful. Like to the top.
Yeah.
To the top of the ladder. No. And then, but then here's the thing. Then that's the person that's going to take the money and the whatever and have that. And probably do some shady things with it, maybe possible.
Yeah. And also, like they've had generally, no one gets anything for free. So they did have to overcome some adversity in order to get that. And so there can be this thing, well, I deserve everything that I have. And just because we have to work hard from it doesn't mean that we're entitled to it. You know, it's still a blessing. In other words, things that we work for, they're still blessings too.
Right. Well, our stream just went off. That was weird. We're good. It's back on.
So Shravana?
Yes.
So Shravana is really getting into the heart of this Saturn moon vibration. And when Saturn moon vibration are very strong, interacting with Rahu and Ketu, it can really weigh heavy on the heart and the mind of the person. So I am compassionate. I'm compassionate to Rahu and Ketu in this nakshatra. It's not the highest dignity for either nakshatra. Rahu and Ketu are enemies of the moon. And the moon are Rahu and Ketu's greatest enemies. So in this sense, and I want to redefine enemy, but let's just say that they don't get along that well, that sometimes that their interactions cause the moon, which rules the mind, it wears on it. It tears on it. It causes erratic changes of the thought process. So this can overshow overcoming a lot of adversity in the life. Ketu in this nakshatra, Rahu in this nakshatra. But Shravana is also one of the indicators for when you overcome that challenge, the grass is greener on the other side. That's how I feel about Shravana.
Yep. It's the softest side of Capricorn that there can be. You know, I'd say, and I think that's why Ketu and Rahu trigger it so much, because it is the emotional side of Capricorn. My mom has planets in this, and it's like, so when she gets upset, she's like, you know, and she holds it in. So somebody that can hold a lot of, especially like a Ketu in this, can be like, just you hold it in and hold it back, and it can really do some damage to you, even your health.
Yeah, I think it's worth clarifying that Ketu does a little more challenged in this nakshatra than Rahu. Yeah. Because Rahu generally does well through most of the Capricorn and Aquarius nakshatras. Mm-hmm. But Ketu does a little more difficult. Now, Ketu does well in some of the Aquarius nakshatras, and Dhanistha we're going to talk about. It does okay. But there's this energy of that the person might have to deal with a certain loss, you know, because Ketu's the moksha karaka, and that they carry that loss with them their entire life.
Right.
Like someone might lose their parent when they're young if they have Ketu in this nakshatra, or someone which was very close to them in their life when they're young, and they remember the loss of that person their entire life because it happened at a very vulnerable time.
Yep. And just a lot of taking care of people, I've noticed too.
Yeah.
You know, just taking, and that's like, it's kind of like you just take care of people and you just do things. And so a lot of nurses and a lot of doctors, but mainly nurses or people who work at nursing homes, I've noticed. But a lot of like doing work that you have to take care of people that you, like, I would never like doing. I mean, it's not my style. It would be so hard for me to work in like a hospice. I could never do that. Like, it would be somebody like that could, or Barini, you know?
100%. Ketu and Shravana, even Ketu and Mula. That'd be good to work in a hospice or to work with death. Like, and it could actually show prosperity in that career. Because one of the strongest things about Shravana is like, okay, you can be really successful in your career. So there is this energy of like, okay, Ketu and Rahu, they're in this nakshatra, the career, it can be outside of the box. So it might, with Rahu or Ketu in this nakshatra, they might not be your typical lawyer, doctor, or businessman.
Right.
You know?
Funeral business. I've seen a lot of funeral business with that.
Yeah, 100%. Working with death, working with dead bodies. This is all going to be indicated. Now, with Rahu in this nakshatra, they're more tempted to make money by what I call whatever means necessary.
Right.
Now, this means for sometimes Rahu and Shravana people, they can put their material goals above everything else. And Ketu in this nakshatra can also be tempted, not necessarily material goals, usually the goals with Ketu in this nakshatra, they're not necessarily like this much money or a house. Maybe it's a person, or it's a place, or it's a certain thing that they want. But with Rahu in this nakshatra, there can be a tendency towards materialistic goals. And the thing is that tendency helps you be successful.
Yes.
So it's not a bad thing to have Rahu and Shravana. It just, the one thing I will say from a remedial standpoint, be careful with Ketu or Rahu in this nakshatra, because it's ruled by the moon. And the balance of Shravana nakshatra is my career and my family. So with Ketu in this nakshatra, can I balance my my spirituality, my religion, my career, and my family?
Yeah.
And with Ketu, they could be, I mean, with Rahu in this nakshatra, they could be tempted to make money unsavourily by drug dealing.
Right.
They might like to hustle this or that.
Yeah. Or I have to say this. So I like to do a lot of research on like criminals and people in jail too. So a lot of people that have planets in this, and there are some nakshatra part of Capricorn, but then you start getting here, this can lead somebody in jail, 100%. Like, and I remember looking at this prisoner's chart, and I can't explain the story why I was even looking at this prisoner's chart and why I gave him a reading, but because it's top secret. And his chart looked like he could have been the attorney representing him. You know what I'm saying? But things didn't work out that way, you know? And so I've noticed that Rahu or Ketu in any of these nakshatras here in Capricorn, but especially Shravana, can get involved in like so much drama with other people and emotions and worrying about other people. And it really can like screw them up. And like, say they have an idea and the idea, they get involved in the drama. It can just ruin it.
Exactly. I agree 100%. Ketu and Rahu in this nakshatra are master manipulators, but they also don't understand that they're easily manipulated. So again, they have this ability to have a great impression and kind of manipulate others, and they can do that and commit illegal crimes.
Right.
And end up in prison. You know, because they give into this temptation that they're feeling with Shravana. And that's the overcoming at adversity. Right. You know, there could be some lessons that when they overcome this, there will be great success in their life.
This person I'm talking about, I gotta just tell you this because it's pretty crazy. I said what he was in trouble for was he was a pimp, okay, basically, and he was hookering out girls. But these girls he got off of the street that were like heroin addicts, crackheads, like, and he truly, in his heart, felt like he was giving them a better life than they were because they were homeless, you know? But what was amazing was the correlations in their charts, the girls. Pisces, a lot of Revati, like a lot of Pisces. But what else? It's like this is like a whole case study, I swear. I can't talk about it though, so I can't. But it's just so amazing how these nakshatras work on every level, with every situation, everything. Yeah.
And it's just 100% having a full influence on how your experience is, especially when you're going through either a transit related to Rahu or Ketu, if you have Rahu and Ketu in this nakshatras, or you're in a Rahu Mahadasha, you're in a Rahu Antardasha. All of these are significations that these lessons are directly affecting you right now.
Or where you live, your location too. Like, because you have to look at those too.
Now, one thing about Shravana that does difficult with Ketu is this connection to Lord Vishnu. Because Vishnu is the preserver and Ketu is the moksha. So Vishnu is trying to keep everything together. And so a lot of times people with Shravana, they have this mentality, got to keep it together, got to keep everything together. And it's actually one of the indicators for being well organized. So is Dhanistha. They're both indications for good organization. Mm-hmm. But when Ketu or Rahu is in that nakshatra, there's a fine line between good organization and what we call obsessive compulsive disorder.
Yeah.
Is it good organization, or is it just something that has to be just right in your mind because it's just got to feel just so.
Yeah. Yeah.
And with the moon nakshatra, there's more vulnerabilities to them to mental illness here.
Yes. Depression.
Big with depression, especially Rahu in this nakshatra. It's like, I'm the victim.
Yeah. And Ketu moon's gonna just like go hide and curl up in a ball.
Yeah, yeah. Now the evolutionary energy of Shravana is, instead of playing poor me, which means letting all of these little things that happen in life that are challenging get me down, instead of playing a victimization role in that, I'm just going to push past that adversity and achieve success.
Yeah.
And that's the Saturn energy of falling back off the horse and getting back on. So, you know, it's this energy of how we are coping with adversity.
Right.
And with Rahu in this nakshatra, maybe we're coping with adversity through control, through power. With Ketu in this nakshatra, maybe through escape. So there's difficult tendencies for both the nodes in this sign, a lot of evolutionary energy.
Yeah. Yes, very much so. The next ones are my favorite. So you're going to be good on the Aquarius. This is going to be fun.
My favorite, right?
I bet. Yeah. And it's so funny. I can't tell you how many readings I do for people with Rahu and Aquarius, but wonder why.
Yeah. Well, the thing is with Rahu and Aquarius, and they have the Ketu in the 7th house, they would just be attracted to a strong Ketu vibration.
Mm.
You know, in other words, a lot of times with remedial practices, when it comes to Ketu and Rahu, you just go to the other node for the remedy. So in other words, if you try to heal Rahu by going through your karma with Rahu, that's like jumping down a rabbit hole, going into Alice in Wonderland.
Right. Yeah.
You gotta be like, how is Ketu acting in my chart? Let me align to that. And if you're suffering from a Rahu dasha, align to Ketu to feel good.
Right.
You know, if you're struggling during a Ketu dasha, connect to your Rahu vibration and feel good.
Yeah.
So Dhanistha, the next nakshatra, kind of connects Capricorn and Aquarius. This is a very powerful nakshatra and is warrior cast, is Mars association, and is Mars ruled. So of all the kind of planets which are having to do with Saturn, Mars is the most, Dhanistha is the most physical.
Right.
So you're talking about people who have lots of skills, like with Ketu and Rahu in this nakshatra. These people are very skilled. They're fixer-uppers. They make things better. They're engineers. They're chemists. They're car repairsmen. They're mechanic. They're electrician. They know the way that things work mechanically and physically. There's a strong connection to the physical world. Understanding the physical world, understanding the mundane world. It's the conclusion of the Capricorn energy. So in its most exalted energy, I think of it as one of the most grounded nakshatras.
Yep, I agree.
It's grounded through physical action.
Yep.
Ketu and Mars and Saturn all acting together. I like Ketu. Well, I'm going to always say I like Ketu more on the Aquarius side of Dhanistha Nakshatra. And I just like the Aquarius side of Dhanistha Nakshatra. And I have someone very close to me in my blood who was born with Saturn and its ascendant in Dhanistha. And we've always had this strong connection with each other. Right. So there is this energy, though, of feeling, because of Saturn and Mars, this kind of interaction when Ketu is in this nakshatra. There is this sense that there's always something that I need to be doing. I mean, this is how Dhanistha Nakshatra is. Like, there's some action that I need to be taken. But the thing is there's setbacks and delays because of the Saturn influence. Also, these people are very well learned. They're highly educated. This is a strong signification for Ketu in this nakshatra to have a lot of wisdom. but there's a lot of discipline. There's a lot of organization potential here, but that's more when Saturn is in those signs.
Yeah. I've seen Rahu do phenomenal in Dhanistha though. And there's a lot of Dhanistha in my family too. So in my mom's moon, and my grandmother was heavy, and they were like entrepreneurs. My mom puts people to sleep, Mars, hospitals, you know, like anesthesia. So yeah.
Yeah. Rahu and Dhanistha, it's funny you say anesthesia, because this Dhanistha can have to do, as we get into Shatabhisha as well, you're kind of getting into more medical energies.
Yeah.
So Dhanistha has this, especially if Rahu is in this nakshatra, an interest in alternative healing, different medical procedures, surgeries. So there's this interest in medicine. There's this interest in the physical world. There's this interest in the physical body. And also people with Rahu in Dhanistha nakshatra, they love the planet Earth. They love physical nature.
Yeah.
And it's like they're the type of people that could be really successful businessmen. They can also be the CEOs. But guess what they're doing on the weekends? They're going camping. Guess what they do when they get off of work? They
Golfing.
go. What's that?
Aquariuses, especially, I don't know if it's this one more so, golfers. There's a lot of golfers that have planets in Dhanistha, I would say.
Yeah.
And that's nature too. And it's like Mars, nature, competitive nature.
Yeah. Yeah. And also Rahu in this nakshatra, there is usually a very strong personality that's energetic. Like the person, you meet someone with Rahu in this nakshatra, you're like, oh, I'm going to remember that person. Now,
right.
Ketu in this nakshatra is really good for spiritual education, is really good for spiritual wisdom. Not everyone with Ketu in this nakshatra is going to choose a spiritually oriented life. But if you were going to choose a spiritually oriented life and you have Ketu in this nakshatra, you can learn lots of different wisdom of lots of different religions.
Yeah. Yes. Cultures, everything. Yeah. Very smart human beings. Like I like the intelligence that I've noticed that comes out of here. And I do feel like Rahu does so well in all the Aquarius nakshatra. So you said the Ketu. I'm telling you, I think it's the Rahu ones that are the ones that are so, because it takes that energy. Now they might be a little out there and disconnected from a lot of people. I've noticed the other people suffer the most, like the people around them, right? But it's some serious brains.
You said Ketu does well in these nakshatras?
I think Rahu does way better.
Oh yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, Ketu, I think Ketu gets all confused in these. He's like, yeah.
Exactly, because, you know, they say that Ketu and Saturn are friends, but they don't really work well together.
No, I don't think so at all.
But Rahu and Saturn work well together. So Rahu does really well in Dhanistha, Shatabhisha, in Shravana, and Ketu does better in the Sagittarius nakshatras, Mula, Purva Ashadha, Uttara Ashadha. But I think through Capricorn and Aquarius, Rahu kind of showing that him and Saturn have the closest connection.
Yeah. And if there's any of the nakshatras that it's going to do well, it's going to be, I would say, Dhanistha. Ketu can do okay with it. Yeah, it's 100%. But Rahu, like, I don't know. It just depends. And also, everybody needs to know too here, this is so depends on your chart. This isn't just like, oh, if you have this and this is how you're going to be. It's in what house it's in. It's how it's going to play out, what your ascendant is. It's going to play out, you know, if it's conjunct with anything else. So we're just giving you like the overall energy of how they perform.
Yeah. And Dhanistha is the drum. So Ketu and Rahu in this nakshatra, they love music. They're great musicians. And, you know, Ketu in this nakshatra might be more like Yanni, and Rahu in this nakshatra might be more like Swedish death metal. But the thing about the Rahu in this nakshatra is they're like Ghost. They'd be the #1 Swedish death metal band out there. Yeah.
And a lot of wealth comes with that nakshatra, I've noticed. Like, either way, it's a lot of wealth. Even if it's hidden, like you won't know about it, but they can have money.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. They're actually very good organizers of money. But the thing is, the Rahu in this nakshatra, they'll be very successful. They'll have lots of money, but they'll also might be tempted to things like you mentioned, gambling,
Yeah.
especially the stock market.
Yeah.
Rahu and Dhanistha, these are people who get lost in the stock market.
Right. Or get rich.
Right, right.
You know?
Or
Uh-huh.
get rich. You got to take some hits before you get the
Right.
right one. But yeah, there is this, there is also this like serving energy, which is associated with it.
Yeah.
So these people are very like, you know, physical in their expressions of their love, you know? So like, people with Ketu in this nakshatra and Rahu in this nakshatra, especially Rahu in this nakshatra, they might make you uncomfortable with the way that they express their love to you. With Ketu in this nakshatra, they might not like to express physical love that way. But with Rahu in that nakshatra, the hug is too tight, the hug is too long, the hands are too low. Whatever it is, it might be too. Maybe they rub your shoulders when you don't want your shoulders to be rubbed.
Oh, it's so funny. Yeah. You know, I've noticed though, Dhanistha tends to be the more like, if you have to do the medicine side, that's more like the real medicine. And then I noticed, or surgeries, or like then Shatabhisha is more the natural, creative healing. I mean, some of the charts that I have seen with the Rahu and Shatabhisha, it is like the ideas that these people have, you're just like, I mean, where do you even come up with that? You know? And like here we go. Go ahead. That's a good segue into it. Go ahead.
It's my favorite nakshatra, but obviously I'm partial as an ascendant Rahu in this nakshatra. But basically, finding out that I was a Rahu Satabhisha ascendant, when I found that out through Vedic astrology, that's what made me believe in Vedic astrology.
I bet.
I looked at my Rahu subperiods. I was like, oh my God, this explains my whole life experience. I need to study this. I took a notepad. I took all these books, and I was writing all the notes about what Rahu and Satabhisha and what that meant.
That's crazy. When I heard K2 Scorpio Mars, it described my entire life. Like it hit home so bad, and I haven't went back since.
Yeah.
And I guess that's an ascendant. It's just going to do that to you, you know, so much.
Exactly. It's like we don't even have a choice.
You don't even, like, I don't even think of anything else in my chart besides like K2 Mars Scorpio, because it's like so heavy. When it's so heavy in your chart and so powerful and so insane, nothing else even matters. It's like this hard block hurdle that you just are always going to have to deal with, no matter what. I don't care how good anything is. You still have this vicious first house. And like some people are lucky where they don't have a lot of any act in there, but then sometimes their lives get so drawn up in everybody else's. But you and I have these ascendants that are like, you know, there's a lot of focus there. So we can be selfish.
Yeah.
That's okay.
But that's the thing is based on that's because we put too much energy in one area. So you have to be selfish.
Right.
If you're going to even fulfill anything which you're meant to fulfill in this lifetime. If there's not some partial selfishness, there's no fulfilling of anything.
Right.
You know, how can you be true to others if we can't be true to ourselves first?
It's true. Very true.
I believe Rahu is Mula Trikona in Satabhisha. It's root Trikona, best position. So it's its most comfortable position. So again, I think of all the nakshatras, this is Rahu's spot. Now, I also seen Rahu do well in some of the other nakshatras on the Taurus side. So I also see Rahu act well there. But that's more like of an exaltation. Mula Trikona is more like a natural sign. And in Jaimini astrology, Aquarius is can be the ruler of Rahu.
Right.
Rahu is the ruler of Aquarius. So as you look into Satabhisha Nakshatra, its energy is naturally Rahuvian. And that's because it's called the 100 flowers. 100 flowers can also mean 100 medicines. It's also called 100 doctors. It's also called 100 diseases, and it's also called 100 poisons. And you take all of that together and you have a Satabhisha person. So that basically means that there's 100 medicines that the person could get to know throughout their lifetime. But there is no way to know which of those things that they think are medicines are actual medicine and which things are actually poison.
Right.
So Satabhisha is also called the wounded healer, which is related to, on another completely thing in Western astrology, they call that Chiron, in which we use in astrocartography. In Rahu, this position in Satabhisha Nakshatra, it has to do with suffering, physical illnesses, right? That you have to go through in order to become a healer. Right. So, you know, I was a Rahu in Satabhisha Nakshatra, and when I was a baby, my mom said I used to put my head in my hands and say, the brain thing is happening, the brain thing is happening. And I'd be like, what do you mean the brain thing? And you would just put your hands in your head and run around in circles and start yelling, the brain thing is happening. I mean, it's like all this Vata energy swirling in the mind. And that's where creative energy comes from. Yeah. That's where innovation comes from. So that's where all these good ideas about the future and all of the potential have to come from. But when that's not grounded, it creates horrible Vata vitiation of the mind. So someone with Rahu or Ketu in this nakshatra, they have the potential, if they are healthy, to have this incredible innovative intelligence. But if they are not able to heal themselves properly, then their intelligence will not manifest properly. So it's not going to be manifesting in its, but Rahu in this nakshatra, it does everything that it can in order to experience this healing process. Yeah. So, and it wants to share that with everyone. But this is an indicator for mystical and occult wisdom. Yeah. Rahu in this nakshatra. Ketu in this nakshatra. I like Ketu in Satabhisha nakshatra.
Do you? I think that brings out a serial killer.
Yeah.
I totally do. I think it does. I think it gets dangerous.
Yeah.
Because this is like where Twisted Ketu gets all like the dark chemist that's turns into like the person that kills somebody with and poisons them. Like if say it's a woman who hates her husband, that's the woman that's going to give her husband antifreeze.
Well, the Satabhisha is the magician.
Yeah.
Which means the sorcerer.
Yeah.
Which means the brujo. And the brujo is the evil sorcerer, the dark sorcerer, okay? Yeah. So it's like Darth Vader or Luke Skywalker. Who are you going to choose to be? Right. So, but with Rahu and Satabhisha Nakshatra, you can get into shamanism. Ketu and Satabhisha Nakshatra, shamanism. But there's always this temptation as we become more wise and have more spiritual power to use that power for our own control.
And probably the people watching this are definitely those people, but the people that don't know about astrology, they could have the bad ones, you know, or have and it's going to go to our next nakshatra, which our next couple sets of nakshatras, you know, this is where it gets kind of dark. These are my favorite ones too. Like we're going into the favorites. So, but I think Satabhisha, musicians too, Rahu and musicians and phenomenal, but drinkers can be Ketu there, can be alcoholics for sure, because a lot of addictions I've noticed, like with, you know, smoking.
Yeah, because they love medicine as much as they love poison.
Right. Yeah.
And so people with Ketu in this nakshatra, that's a strong indication for sobriety. Okay, I agree. Now I see the connection, because if you have Ketu and Satabhisha and you're on drugs, hell yeah, you're going to kill somebody.
Right.
So that Ketu and Satabhisha nakshatra person needs to be sober.
Right.
You know, Rahu in Satabhisha nakshatra.
Expensive. Yeah.
It can actually change poison into medicine.
That makes sense.
It can, which is actually Lord Shiva. And Lord Shiva is connected with this nakshatra, as well as the incarnation of Vishnu, Varahadeva. So there is this strong energy, Varuna, of when Ketu is in this nakshatra, of kind of pushing the person to not put poison inside of their body.
Right.
The Rahu in Satabhisha nakshatra, he says, give me more poison, give me more poison. And for some reason, there's this possibility that that poison doesn't afflict him. And in the ancient tales, they have Shiva, and he drinks the poison from the ocean, and it turns his throat blue. And they call Shiva Nilakanta, which means the blue-throated god. And sometimes when you're praying to Lord Shiva, you say, Jai Nilakanta, Jai Nilakanta, blessed to the blue-throated god. That's because he consumed poison. So Rahu and Satabhisha, they can consume poison for whatever that's worth. They can consume poison and get away with it.
I just got chills when you said that. Yeah. Or it could be somebody that gets poisoned, you know?
Ketu in that nakshatra, and Rahu in that, I've been poisoned many times. And this is my...
well, it doesn't surprise me. You have Rahu there. So, and it's in your first house.
I've gotten food poisoning, living in other countries, parasites, worms, and all that stuff, just from eating, in other countries. So,
I gotta say this, because here's the funny thing. You actually got them, right? Well, here comes Rahu, Ketu. Ketu is paranoia, okay? I always think I have parasites. Like, I won't even eat sushi anymore, nothing. I don't eat meat barely at all. I mean, nothing. But when it comes to like sushi, I would never touch it because I had this horrible fear of parasites. And I knew every parasite, every worm, hookworm, lungworm, fluke worm.
Is your Ketu in Satabhisha? Or
no, Ketu in Scorpio, but I just got so obsessed with it. It's like when you have just in general, Ketu, what they do, it just goes, mine went into investigating mode, yours, but that actually gave you poisoning, because it's in your first house.
Yeah, I also lived in Peru for like a while drinking ayahuasca.
Yeah.
Thinking that was medicine. I mean, I don't think it's poison. I don't think it's both and neither and either. I went there trying to figure out what it was and studied it for years and still have no idea. So that's just the Rahu and Satabhisha thing. It's like, I thought this thing was the answer. Like before I ever tried ayahuasca, I thought that was the healing answer, that was going to heal everyone's suffering. And then I went there, I'm like, oh, this is just another thing that I don't understand.
I would love for you to talk to Cliff High about that, because he knows a lot about that. Interesting. And he does it in like a very logical way and talks about it.
Yeah, it's very powerful. I think it helped open me up to the the energies.
And I have no desire to do that whatsoever. No, nothing like that. Like because I like to be in control. So I'm never going to do something where my mind's out of control.
Yeah. People with Ketu and Satabhisha or Rahu and Satabhisha, they can be very tempted to use shortcuts for their spiritual growth.
Yeah.
Like psychedelics or whatever it may be, like thinking that that's going to do any spiritual work for you. That's part of the great illusion. No substance is going to do any spiritual work for anybody. It might show you the work that needs to be done.
Give you a heart attack and put you back to, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, again, with Ketu in this nakshatra, I encourage sobriety. With Rahu in this nakshatra, there is no silver bullet.
And, let's go with, even with this nakshatra, somebody that's not spiritual could just be on heroin and then they just almost die. And to the point where they almost OD, and then that's their awakening. And it doesn't mean it's a spiritual awakening, but an awakening to get clean, to put your life back together. That can be too a scenario that happens. It's not all just spiritual. There's like sometimes the realness that comes out of it, I've noticed.
Yeah. And for example, with Satabhisha, it's the poisoning that allows you to know what the healing is.
Yeah.
So, obviously the way that I ate before I got food poisoning, I'm less likely to eat that way now. So it just teaches you to learn the physical lessons of the body the hard way. So the thing is if you find a path of all, and then we'll move on. I know I've been talking about.
No, you're good. No, I like this one. It's good. Keep going.
That if you use alternative medicine to in your lifestyle, then and you have Rahu or Ketu in this nakshatra, you can live a very long life.
Right.
But if you're not open-minded to different ways of trying to make your life longer, you could you could have a very short life. And some of the things with Shatabhisha nakshatra is, the disease took this person out because they weren't willing to do the work. They died from consumption or whatever. So there are these different energies here where you have opportunities, what are called healing crises. With and you were just talking about one, Heidi, with the heroin addiction. I've also seen Shatabhisha node natives with these type of addictions. And when this is a healing crisis, which means heal or die, right? I'm either going to heal and become a really good person, or I'm just going to fizzle out and die.
Alcohol too. Alcohol Shatabhisha is a lot. There's a lot of, anybody has planets in it, like a lot of times Rahu, I'd say. I'd say more Ketu, because Ketu can be more, Rahu's like the fast pop. Like it's going to be that person that has that quick fix, K2 is the addiction I've noticed. Like that what brings out more addictions. Did you notice that?
Yeah. And also with K2 in this nakshatra, there can be some codependency.
Yeah.
And even with Rahu and nakshatra, it's not as much codependency or as much as trying to control another person.
Right.
Or wanting to be the one in control or wanting to be the dominant.
Yeah. Then like a K2 person, when they're drinking, they're that quiet drunk. That like they're not going to be the one like they might drink so they feel normal so they can associate with people.
Yeah. The Rahu and Shatabhisha person is the person they're like, sorry, I can't serve you another drink.
Right.
And you're like, I haven't even been drinking.
All right, next one. Last set of. Do you think we can finish the rest? I think we finished the
Sure,
rest.
if you want to. If you have the time, I can. We'll
I
get
have like 25 minutes. Yeah, we can do it.
Okay, well, it makes sense that we can kind of do it on a little bit quicker because you got Purva Bhadrapada and Uttara Bhadrapada. So you have both sides of this Pisces energy that are kind of evolving. Just like we had Purva Ashadha, Uttara Ashadha. Now we have Purva Bhadrapada and Uttara Bhadrapada. Now, Purva Bhadrapada, this has an indication for, I like Rahu in this nakshatra a lot. Rahu and Purva Bhadrapada has very interesting, so while the Rahu and Shatabhisha person, they'll have very interesting ideas, but they won't be specifically focused around religion, let's say, or a certain belief system. Like they'll have lots of ideas, but there can be open-mindedness. When planets are in Purva Bhadrapada, there's much more of this vibration of if Ketu is in this nakshatra, like, can I begin to let go of this kind of part of me which is no longer serving me? It's this kind of energy of, can I believe something? Can I find something to believe in and then begin to lead my life by that? So this vibration of Ketu in this nakshatra, you get kind of religious zealots or religious over-enthusiasm. And you can actually see this through all the Pisces nakshatras.
Yeah, I agree. Like when I think of Purva Bhadrapada, I think Aleister Crowley. That's Aleister Crowley. I mean, that's what I think. I mean, that if that explains it. For me, that's when I hear Rahu, Purva Bhadrapada, Aleister Crowley.
Yeah. And when you're looking at that, you're looking at people who are very well educated. And if they're into religion, they're usually like pretty like intense about it. And they're also have this magnetism.
Yeah.
They have this attraction. And with Rahu in this nakshatra, a real fascination with the mystical or the occult.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Or then you throw like this into a political leader. This is when things get dark. Lots. I mean, I'm not saying it's always dark because do a ton of readings for people with this, but depending on like how your chart sits, this nakshatra I notice has the most murders. Absolutely, hands down, has the most murders because it's like that control, that passion, that like that, and K2 in this too. Both you throw a bunch of planets all together like a moon Rahu, or it doesn't mean it's always going to be that way. But if somebody's chart takes a turn for the worse, this is when it can get dark, and it can get dark where I've noticed that it's spells, magic, dark magic, rituals, sacrifices, human sacrifices, sacrificing kids. And not everybody that has this in their chart doesn't mean they're like this, but it does bring that energy out. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think one of the reasons, like why you have that is because like there's this Jupiter influence.
Yeah.
And that Jupiter influence is saying like, I'm going to believe very strongly about this. And what I believe is what is right. So there's this, so if they don't think murder is wrong,
right,
or if they think their murder is justified, and you can get this with the other Pisces nakshatras as you get more into it as well, which is basically Pisces kind of takes us out of the material world. We've moved away from Capricorn. We've moved away from Aquarius, which is, moving away from the mundane world. And now we're in a higher realm. And in traditional Hindu, this is connection with Svarga, which is the celestial heaven, or like an altered dimensional realm, which is beyond this physical realm, which we go to where the devas are. This is so there is this higher celestial realm. But that means that you might be living in another place. So if you have Ketu in this nakshatra, especially, or you have Rahu in this nakshatra on the Pisces side, you have to be careful about thinking that you know everything and that you are correct about everything. There has to be this kind of open-mindedness, or there can be a lot of trouble that comes up here.
This is way better in Aquarius than it is in Pisces.
Yeah.
Hands down. Like I think it's dangerous in Pisces. And not always, but
yeah. I think Rahu does better on the Aquarius side. I think Ketu does a little better on the Pisces side.
I agree. But then that person usually is abused. It's like it works. I've noticed the Ketu, when you have Ketu in there can be a lot of abuse.
Yeah.
Like in a female. Depends on the, it just depends on the chart, but.
Yeah. It's like with Rahu in this nakshatra, there can be on the Pisces side, that can be difficult because there can be very escapist tendencies.
Yeah, drugs, big time.
But with Ketu, on the Jupiter side of this nakshatra, there is this possibility to, yes, like you said, there's trauma in their life, but they don't live in that world, which means, okay, maybe they live in a fantasy world, but maybe they've actually like just kind of moved on from that, hopefully.
Definitely radicals. Like if this person believes in something, they can be extremely radical, whichever way it is. K2 brings out that like the radical, I know it all. Rahu's like the radical, everybody follow me and believe what I say, like cult leaders. It just Jim Jones or the cult leaders, there's so much Piscean in them because they can sway people, they can be magnetic. This is when charts can get dangerous. Or they can get like radical like that, or they get real spiritual, or they could get really insecure and have horrible things. Like it gets hard. It's dark. It's like, and it's all over the place because it's such an emotional like sign anyway.
Yeah. Now the Purva Bhadrapada, it's much more spiritual than the Uttara Bhadrapada. In Uttara Bhadrapada, the way that Ketu acts in that, it can be very radical and fierce and violent and aggressive. So we're talking about, this is where you get into religious extremism, you get into radical practicing of belief systems.
Right.
You might get into acts of terrorism.
Yep.
So this is something now with Rahu in this nakshatra, there's more of like a, on the Saturn side of it, it's like, I don't want anything to do with the way that this world works. And I'm just going to be pissed off about everything. And there is this energy of just having a sour taste in your mouth. With Rahu in Uttara Bhadrapada, it can leave a sour taste in your mouth, which means you are so strongly connected to your beliefs that there are other beliefs that you don't really want to focus on.
Like, I hate to say this, Nancy Pelosi's ringing a bell. Okay? Like, a lot of liberal, like a lot of left-leaning, and I know, and it's not just one party, but it's true. A lot of Purva Bhadrapada tends to be extremely, extremely left. And it's just, they get so stuck in their thoughts that it's like they can't see any which way. I'm not saying other parties are like that too, but definitely the left is more that side.
Yeah.
And
kind of when you're looking at Purva Bhadrapada, you're looking at the left, and Uttara Bhadrapada could be the right.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes.
Because of Jupiter, and Uttara Bhadrapada is warrior caste.
Yep.
Which has to do with more with red and the red party. So I think that, but in Pisces in general, you get extremes. So you're going to get extreme left on one side. You're going to get extreme right on the other side, which again goes back to the other energy, which is I'm saying, which is they're kind of like living in their own little world, which is fine because that little world might be comfortable.
Yeah. Right. And it's definitely like that. Or it's an extreme, like I've noticed Uttara Bhadrapada and Revati when we get there, but Uttara Bhadrapada is can be really religious. I mean, where it's so religious that it's like, you can't, that person's like, the astrology's for the devil.
Yeah.
You know, they're the ones going to the March for Life. Nothing's wrong with this, guys. I'm just giving you examples. You know, there's a lot of that. And a Rahu in that, like the pastor. Matter of fact, a lot of pastors, I think you said that to me earlier too. We were discussing that. We said Revati, but I think Uttara Bhadrapada can be like that too.
Yeah. And I like Ketu sometimes in Purva Bhadrapada, and I like Rahu in Uttara Bhadrapada.
Yeah.
Sometimes I find Rahu and Uttara Bhadrapada, they have some really unique approaches to spirituality.
Yeah.
They have some really unique approaches to religion. Like if I wanted to talk to a religious person and I saw that they had Rahu in Uttara Bhadrapada, I'd be like, okay, I'll listen to what you have to say for a second, even though I don't really care for that. Because there's going to be something wise there to be offered there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And it can balance it out. It's all balance too, you know, so sometimes maybe it opens it up a little bit.
Yeah. And I think it's interesting when certain people have, whether it's Purva Ashadha, Uttara Ashadha, Purva Bhadrapada, Uttara Bhadrapada, when you have one planet on one side of the nakshatra and another planet on the other side of the nakshatra, it's like you might, for the political thing that we're pulling out of the Bhadrapada, if you might have some energy in Purva Bhadrapada, which means you lean left socially.
Right, right.
So if you have strong Purva Bhadrapada energy, you're going to lean left socially when it comes to certain things. If you have energy in Uttara Bhadrapada, you're going to lean right financially.
Yep.
So if you have energy in both, maybe it's not cut and clear that you're a member of this party. Maybe you lean left in this area, you lean right in this area. But it can definitely show your leanings is what I think we're bringing out.
Yeah. Pelosi's moon is in Vishaka. So it's like when you get a lot of those, like the radicals, it can really just do no talking to. There's no like what she's doing right now, you know? And, you know, we're not going to get all political in here, but it's just so crazy how it works out in every time. Same with Hillary Clinton. Her chart looks like kind of very similar to Pelosi's. You know, they've got these trends.
Yeah, the grahas, right, they pull on our consciousness. And what is politics but a manifestation of our ideals? The world is hardly idealistic. But in the political world, you're working off of ideals that you want to manifest in the world.
Yeah.
Never ends up, in other words, no president that ever existed in the existence of the United States of America has accomplished everything that they've wanted to accomplish while they're president. So it's based off of ideals. So it's interesting when you're talking about it from an astrological perspective to say, okay, wow, maybe the way that I think about politics is being influenced by my chart. Isn't that interesting?
It is. I can tell who voted for who every chart I pull. Every chart, you can see it. I can look at the Nakshatras and say, who does this person like more or less? It's so simple. I mean, you could test me and see. I mean, you would laugh.
Yeah.
I could be like, and I could say, some people there's been 2 charts readings I've done where I was kind of cautious because I was like, and totally threw me off when they told me what side they were on. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm thinking in my head. And, when you see something, you're just like, you don't want to say anything, but I use a lot of examples, in readings so people understand. And it's just such a fine line, but you can see this. You can see the energies just from these nakshatras. That's why they're so amazing.
Yeah. So once you figure out, what side of the fence you lead on, and you're figuring out the final understanding of your knowledge, then you come to the final conclusion of all of the nakshatras. The last nakshatra in the zodiac, Revati nakshatra, which is symbolized as the fish. So when you're looking at a fish, it doesn't have legs, it swims in the water, it doesn't have feet, it can't walk around. Now, it's not supposed to walk around. It's the completion of all of karma. So Revati is the completion of karma. So it reminds me of a story, just the energy of Revati nakshatra, is that the Buddha, it came time that he was dying under the tree that he prayed under. And he could have just died and went in peace. But he decided that I had to express the teachings of the Buddha. I had to teach the wisdom that I've learned. And Revati nakshatra is ruled by Mercury. So even though Revati nakshatra has to do with what is called Mahasamadhi, the ending of the cycle of reincarnation, so people who have lots of planets in Revati nakshatra, they're obsessed about enlightenment. Yeah. And people with Ketu in this nakshatra, it indicates that they can achieve enlightenment. Now, enlightenment is an interesting word. Enlightenment, to bring light, to bring awareness. Yeah. So the real strong energy is to bring awareness. And I like Ketu in this nakshatra. Mm-hmm. And sometimes I like Rahu in this nakshatra because except Rahu in this nakshatra can have some really out there, or they say out in left field. Even any planets in this nakshatra, the beliefs can be out of the norm. In other words, your general beliefs, they don't match up with the average Joe or the average Jane. Right. But this energy, the completion of this nakshatra is to take everything that you've learned and to share it and to teach it and to express it. And so, yes, there's a lot of energy about spiritual enlightenment, but it's also about teaching. It's also about sharing. It's also about communicating and expressing. And so I like Ketu in this nakshatra for expression of spiritual truth. If you have Ketu in this nakshatra, you might be like a channel, like a psychic, like an intuitive. Like someone walks into the room and you can feel their energy. Even with Rahu in this nakshatra, you might have this indication. Now with Rahu in this nakshatra and Ketu in this nakshatra, they can get carried away with their religion. And they can get carried away with their belief system. Like even if they're an atheist, because Rahu and Revati, I've seen them be atheists. They're the intense type of atheists that are like.
So is Ketu. I've noticed Ketu can be that way too.
Yeah, because it's like it wants to share real truth. Yeah. So a lot of religion has to do with the blind faith following of dogmatic belief. And that doesn't have to do with the Revati, like trying to figure out what divine truth really is. That has to do more with like you know, learning about astrology and things like that.
Right, definitely. Right, absolutely. And I'm going to say my moon is in Revati, and I'm going to tell you, Revati's not all peace, love, and harmony. That's for sure, okay? It can be scandalous. It can be promiscuous. Okay, it can be very can be dangerous sometimes. So it's not all. So when you throw the nodes in there, I don't have the nodes in it. My moon's alone in the fifth, but it's definitely not 100% all very spiritual. It's like for you're sitting here saying this, and I'm thinking in my head, yes, mine goes with music. That's nobody understands that, but that's all I do. I don't listen to what anybody says. I have my own opinions. I have a drum. I could dance until my head falls off alone by myself doing crazy things. Like you would not, nobody knows how I really am internally. And that's my moon in Revati. So, but if somebody's confused or lost, or they have Ketu or Rahu there, it can make a stripper.
Yeah.
A legit stripper or a prostitute. Okay. Cause they're too nurturing, cause they're too giving and too, they need that attention sometimes. If it's imbalanced, they need attention. Or they'll stay in situations that they shouldn't stay in, that because they're afraid of being alone, even though they're supposed to be. You know, it's like it's that cycle. But that Rahu and Ketu do some interesting things to Revati, I've noticed.
Yeah, Revati is a very intelligent nakshatra. It has to do with intellectual capacity, and so yes, there's a spiritual energy, but it's grounded by intellectual energy. So it's like, yeah, they're spiritual as much as an intellectual person can be. Right. Because if you cannot explain something or you can't understand something rationally, then how are you going to try to believe in it? And that's kind of the Revati kind of vibration. So Rahu in this nakshatra can be very skeptical. Just like they can be extreme, they can be very skeptical. And then if someone says, I'm religious, they might laugh. They might think that's funny that another person's religious. Because to them, how could they practice something like so seriously? Now, Ketu in this nakshatra, it's Ketu has signification for the 12th house. Revati is the last nakshatra in the 12th sign, so it has this strong vibration of an obsession with karma and reincarnation. Something we saw back with Mula nakshatra, that Revati nakshatra, especially Ketu in this nakshatra. There's a strong amount of knowledge of reincarnation and divine law and the real spiritual truth, not the, you know, the illusion that's out there that we're
and
seeing.
Animals, with animals, because, you know, with Kṣaṇāti, you're protected when you're traveling. Like there's a huge connection with animals. Ketu in there can be extreme, like dog activists. Same with Mula too. You know, people that are really into saving animals, rescuing pets, like I would rather watch a movie where a person dies than an animal. I can't see animals die. Like if I see that, I can watch people die all day long, not animals. And I know everybody's like, oh, no, but that's just how I am. That's why I'm not having kids, because I don't have that affection to kids. Maybe you would think a moon in the fifth Pisces Revati, I would want kids. No, that I don't, never did. I'm more like with the animals. So I think it's not always about children and this. It's more about nurturing. It can be self-nurturing too. But Rahu and Ketu just throw the wacky things can really. But I've seen, you know what, I have to say, Jupiter moon in Revati, that's a freaking Bible buster, hands down, hands down, you know. But I was a Bible buster. I used to write Heidi loves Jesus on our walls with glow-in-the-dark paint. So it's there.
Yeah, and that's kind of the Revati journey, which is actually to kind of like dance with religion, but to question it at the same time and to take some value from it, but also to look in every other area for it. And so there is like this questioning spirit to the Revati native. And which means if someone has Rahu in this nakshatra, they're always questioning things.
Right.
They're always doubting things. If Ketu is in this nakshatra, then they're more likely to be a blind faith believer, or maybe just like very radical in their approach.
Right.
But
Well, you know what? Alchemists come out of there too, big time.
yeah,
Like, and that's, that makes sense with the Mercury K2 in there. I've seen a lot of like out people that study that like, that know, I don't even understand it at all, but people that get really heavily involved in that, because it's like that intelligence that K2 is the detective, and that can be that.
yeah. Like if someone had like a Rahu or Ketu in Revati in like the 10th house, then they might own some like occult shop where they have all these different potions, alchemical mixtures, different writings on different practices. Like we have a shop in Philly called Harry's Occult Shop. It's been there since I was a kid. But yeah, it's this kind of vibration where it's like, maybe they came from a religious background, but they've kind of approached it more from a logical perspective. Yeah. And Mercury is associated with astrology. So a lot of Revati people, they can understand spirituality through astrology. And I always like calling astrology the science of spirituality, because you're able to look at the spiritual evolution of somebody through the chart. So that's really what we're looking at. And so I think Revati has this fascination with understanding like how we can like understand how things work, but not in just a blind faith kind of way, but in an intellectual kind of way.
Yeah. Albert Einstein had a ton of planets in it. I mean, so it's kind of like, it's an interesting nakshatra. I mean, that's why I'm really glad I'm a Scorpio with my intense ascendant balances it out. I like to say that. It's like that facade, because you wouldn't know that about me if you didn't know me. Like you would not guess I'm a Revati moon if you see my YouTube channel. You probably think absolutely not. There's no way, the way that girl talks, what she says, that she's this calm little Pisces moon in the 5th house. Absolutely not. Yeah. It's a facade. It's that Mars K2 Scorpio, don't F with me, watch out facade that I keep on, and it's a guarded thing. And you need to have it on this freaking crap, with all the craziness on YouTube. But that's how it is. It's a facade. It's not how I am emotionally and how I think. Yeah. 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 I always say, Jenny and I, my friend Jenny, she's a Pisces ascendant, Revati ascendant, sun, all Piscean, but she's a moon in Ardra. And I'm the Scorpio K2 Mars with the Pisces Revati moon. We're totally reversed, but people see her as the nice one and me like the nice, like sweet, she has the facade of being very calming, sweet, nice, and we're totally reversed. Yeah. I mean, the thing about a Pisces Revati person, especially with Rahu or Ketu in this nakshatra, you could talk with them philosophically about anything for any amount of time. Yeah. People with Ketu in this nakshatra, Rahu in this nakshatra, they're very interested in philosophy and they like to communicate. They like to talk about it. So having the moon in this nakshatra is perfect for talking about astrology, is perfect for sharing about these things, because it's like you're expressing this type of devotional energy, but it's through a science, it's through an intellectual energy. So it satisfies your love, it satisfies your devotion, but also your intelligence as well. But I don't discount other things. Like I read about Vedic, Western astrology, Chinese astrology, there's astrocartography. There's so many other things that I'm not going to just say no to, because you have to keep an open mind, because what if you're wrong? What if you find proof that something else is right? Just like all religions, one day I'll never forget, I thought it was the end of the world. I was reading the Quran. I thought I was reading Revelations. It was the Quran. I had no idea. It's like, what the hell is this? It was the Quran. I was just Googled like end of days, and it came up. And that was a big eye opener for me, that I was like, whoa, what's the Quran? I grew up in Pittsburgh. There wasn't any like craziness at all. So it just was eye opening. I'm like, this is the same story that's in the Bible. That's all I needed. Then I started questioning things, and I'm like, that's how I think about Revati. It's like whatever religion you're born in, you pick up the book, you read through it, you put it down. Okay, what's the next book? Yeah. Because it's like, okay, I already read that book. Okay, it's time for the next one. So it's like this energy of like, ascertaining the truth from something and then moving on, learning something else, and sharing what you've learned along the way. I have to say, I might be a little radical when it comes to astrology, though, because there's Not one person, and you can say this, I'm sure too. What an amazing thing. People don't understand why people get so passionate about it, because if you give us your month, day, year, city, location, we can tell you how you think, what your worst demons are, your best demons, your worst flaws, your best attributes, what you should be doing. I mean, it is crazy. Any stranger off the street, anybody. And that's one hell of a gift to have. And it's not a gift. It's like, for me, I look at it like I like it as a power thing. Why? Because I'm in control. For me, I use it as a tool also. Okay, I'm not going to get mad at this person because I know this is activated in their chart. So that's not going to piss me off like it would piss me off like it usually does. You know, that's another wonderful thing about astrology. You can forgive people easily. There's so many things.
I think that's so beautiful, Heidi. I've also used it as a tool for understanding, like, all the people in my life that I love and care about. And when you can understand the challenges they go through in their chart,
yep.
Instead of getting angry at them, instead of you start to feel compassionate for them.
Right.
From an ancient Vedic perspective, that's karma, which they are inherited to experience in this lifetime, and they have to experience that. So why should we be angry at our family members for the karma that they have to experience? So it is just really helpful in just like understanding, like, also, I'm not feeling well. I'll take a look at the chart. Oh, that's why I'm not feeling well. My ascendant is being hemmed in, and Saturn's in the first house, and that's why this thing isn't uploading on time. And
right.
That's why there's a little glitch there. But it's just a way of understanding things that, you know, for me, took a lot of stress and tension out of my life. And for us Mercury-oriented people, you have that Revati energy, and it means that you have to understand something logically, rationally. You know, you can't. So astrology is perfect for those of us who are intellectually or scientifically oriented and still want to try to understand spirituality.
But you got to have a little like openness to you too, because the brainiacs that just try to stick to the graphs and the details and the little tiny nitty gritty things, I've noticed that's where you can fail too. It's one of those. It's like a double-edged sword, you know. If you get too into the numbers, too into the graphs, too into like every little planet specific thing and you're charting everything out, I don't think that works. Because I'm going to tell you, I think times have changed. Yogas back in the day aren't the same yogas. If you're a king in a yoga, doesn't mean you're going to be a king right now. It means you're probably going to be like a manager. You know what I mean? We got to look at these things and bring them to the new age, because times have changed. Planets have changed.
Yeah, 100%.
And goals and morals have changed. So like a debilitated Venus, which I have, it's worked out rather nice for me, where I've been pretty successful at a young age and always have made money. And, you know, so it made me materialistic. It took the earthy out of the Venus. So you kind of have to look at charts. It's so not the way I think it's taught. And you have to learn that on your own. That's where once you learn the basics, but I'm going to tell you, I've learned this so much through Nakshatras, I can't even explain.
Yeah. And that's been the focus of my time and energy lately. I just did something on Kritika Nakshatra. And it's just, when you understand, someone asked me when I was doing a reading, what's the difference between the energy of the planet, the sign, and the nakshatra? Like, how do you differentiate the energy? Like a really heady person. I was like,
yeah,
you know, the planet acts like a catalyst for the karma. So it kind of, it's the action, it's the movement of the karma. The nakshatra is the lesson that you have to learn. The nakshatra is the evolution that you have to go through. The planet is what's activating that lesson. So literally, when you're looking at the chart, your signs, your planets, and nakshatras, you're not only looking at all the circumstances in your life, but you're looking at the lessons that are within them.
Yep.
And so for all of us who are looking for meaning to life, that's all the meaning that I need right there, is to know that there's lessons that have to do with what I'm going through.
That just gave me chills again. It's just like when you learn them, and I love that there's not that much information out there, because it can't be like, you can't get like brainwashed with it, where the information is very like, it's almost like real times now, because it's genuine. It's like what's happening now. You know what I'm saying? It's not so much people they didn't know how to use them. They were kind of like, just go by your moon. I think that's bogus. I think you need to go by your ascended. I can read charts with Nakshatras. You need to know every Nakshatra in your chart. I don't care what anybody says. That's that important.
Yeah, the ascendant is definitely 100% the way to go too, because
Yeah.
we're in the Kali Yuga, where the warrior caste is the highest energy. So because we're in that current time, like there's nothing more important than that.
Don't you agree that the ascendant is the most important part of your chart, 100%?
Yes, but I agree 100%. But I think a couple thousand years ago, before Jesus Christ, around the time when the Yuga changed, that maybe the sun and the moon were more important thousands of years ago. And then also thousands of years into the future, they may become more important again. But
Yeah.
right now, today, hands down, ascendant Lagna first.
Yeah. And if that's why I say I don't even do readings for people that I don't have it. I'm like, because I can't rationalize a chart. You can give somebody's overall energy, but if you want to know if you're going to get hit by a bus or win the lottery, you need your ascendant. Like that's just, or if you're going to get a promotion, you can go by how somebody thinks or their sun, which sun is so generic to me. And somebody wrote in the thing, oh, I see how she must have had that kind of relationship with her dad. No, because that's not just what your father is in your chart. And Venus has a correlation to your father too. So people need to get that straight. They don't even like, and that's where Western astrology can be very like, they don't understand how deep the Vedic goes. It's the dark, it's the stuff that most people don't want to talk about. It's the karma.
Exactly. And you can focus in on any area of the life and say, this is the type of karma that I have there. And this is something maybe we can discuss at another time, but there are 3 types of karma. There's fixed karma, and that fixed karma shows up in your astrology chart. For example, Aquarius is a fixed karmic sign. So usually karmas in Aquarius are fixed. That means you're not likely to do anything to work through that karma on your own. That means you have to go through that lesson your entire life. That means that you have to experience challenges with that lesson your entire life. Now, according to Hinduism, you can actually work through the fixed karma with the guru. So then there's also movable karma, which is karma that you have to work really hard to move. This is the dual sign in astrology. So if it's a dual sign, that means it's movable karma. That means it's not going to move on its own. You got to put time and effort in it, to like an alcoholic who needs to stop drinking. You're not going to stop drinking on your own. You got to put down the bottle. If you're overweight, you got to put down the fork.
It's so true. It's so true.
Yeah.
But the one thing I'm going to say, I think personally, and the thing I say, if you know yourself, and you said it earlier, if you know you, all the other stuff doesn't matter. Like if you know what you're supposed to be and you know why you're here and you know your negative traits too and how you are, because sometimes people just don't even realize it, then that's when everything else kind of falls into place. And quite honestly, I think a lot of people have a hard time accepting it and saying their flaws and, I'm just forgiving themselves for all the shit that they've done in their lives. Okay. A lot of them have so much like stuff. They just blame it on everybody else. So I don't believe necessarily you need to follow a guru. You have to get your shit right with yourself first. Then you can work with somebody else. That's my opinion. And sometimes astrology is the place to start, because when some stranger that doesn't know you tells you everything about, that's what blew me away. I'm like, did she like Google me? I'm like, how the hell does this person know everything about me? And it's freaky. It's like, but it never is wrong.
Yeah. And then there's the changeable karma, which just kind of moves through on its own, which means that it's kind of like something that you'll kind of it'll work itself out.
Yep.
And there are certain lessons that we have in life that work themselves out. There are certain lessons in life that we have to really work really hard to learn them. And there's other lessons that it seems that no matter how hard we think we learn them, we keep repeating the same mistakes. So the chart, it's a report card for your karma. So if we work through our evolutionary energy, then in the next lifetime, our karma has improved. If we don't evolve to the evolutionary energy, which is suggested in our chart, then in the next lifetime, our karma is much worse.
Yeah.
So it's basically the choice between heaven or hell, which don't actually exist, but exist as far as our karmic incarnations.
Yep. Beautiful. I put your in when we were in the chat here, and I'm going to post it one more time. Here's all of Kṣaṇāti's information. Okay, so everything's there. Please go subscribe to his channel if you want to learn what we're talking about, and you're new to this. I'm telling you. And plus, I mean, it's just I think he has got so much amazing knowledge on there, and he's done. I mean, Nakshatras and Rahu Ketu with a bunch of brilliant astrologers. He's doing summits. He's teaching things. He's all over. He's all over the place. And his channel. He's all over other people's channels, but his channel, and he go support him, please. I would mean a lot to me. And you need a reading. I'm telling astrophotography, astrology, gemstones, like everything. He's a one-stop shop, like I said. So.
Heidi, I'm so grateful for your wisdom, your insight, your natural intuition as far as all of the lessons and energies of this Nakshatras. I'm so grateful for this Nakshatra series with Rahu and Ketu. I'm looking forward to Rahu Ketu conjunctions. I'm sure we'll be coming up with many more exciting projects after that. And just thanks again for having me on.
So fun. All righty. Thanks, guys, for watching, and have a great week. All right.